Hello and welcome to another edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the program, military sustained bombardment in Lagos and Ogun states. Two ministers disagree over Maritime University. And later in the program, House of Reps gripped by palpable tension over plots to remove Speaker. Joining me today are Babajide Kolade Etitoju, Wahid Bakari, and Elijah Oyebile. Journalist Hangout start in a moment. It is well known that militancy is no longer limited to Niger Delta region. Their tentacles are being spread across Ogun and Lagos creeks. They are beginning to attack oil installations in riverine areas of both states, aside from oil pipeline vandalism and petroleum theft in Arepo in Ogun State and parts of Lagos. The militants have been kidnapping, attacking innocent residents and also stealing from them. The Nigerian Air Forces, both on land and in the air, have helped smoke these militants and kidnappers out of their hideouts. Of this fierce battle against the militants, one major gain recorded on Sunday was the rescue of some kidnapped victims, including a pastor of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, simply identified as Bajomo. Is this the end of vandals' activities in Ogun and Lagos crisis? Today, when you look at this, it happened like a war film kind of thing, and the operation was so swift, like a covert operation. They went there earlier, they did their assessment, and they were able to pinpoint their targets, and they went in and they routed those guys out.
Yes, you really have to be careful when you are up against an awesome power. One thing that is clear in warfare generally is that if you don't have control of the air, it's going to be difficult for you to win a battle. Saddam Hussein will explain that better in his grave. Yes, because during the Gulf War, the first Gulf War in 1991, the first thing that the Americans did was to send in the stealth bombers. The stealth bombers can sustain bombing for hours without being detected by enemy radar.
Because it's stealth in nature.
Yes.
So no radar can read it.
So the Americans sent in the stealth bomber, which is in the shape of a butterfly, awkwardly shaped airplane, but it evades radar. So these airplanes, these stealth bombers, were used to destroy Iraq's air defense systems. So after they had destroyed Iraq's air defense systems, they now sent in the heavy hitters, the fighter planes, and then the bombers, because they are fighter jets that can actually carry heavy munitions, heavy bombs, and there are planes that are just meant to bomb. They don't have the capacity to get involved in dogfights, what is called dogfights in military parlance. So by the time those ones came in, they operated without any form of hindrance, and they sustained the bombing. They were even refueling as the bombing went on, because the bombing was around the clock. So in this case, the operation in Arepo and some parts of Lagos State underlines the value of the Nigerian Air Force. I've talked in the past about how the Nigerian Air Force has been central to the gains that we have made in this insurgency
against Boko Haram.
I always talk about the battle for Giwa Barracks, when the Nigerian Army was going to be embarrassed. And then the Air Force came in and the table turned. Because with some of the aircraft that we have, they can offer close support to the ground troops. They can strafe the enemy, ground attack helicopters can do so much damage that infantry soldiers cannot do. So this is exactly what we have seen, because the damage assessment that the Air Force has done,
the terrain wasn't accessible for infantry soldiers.
Yes, it will have been suicidal to send in the infantry soldier. So what
they understood,
what Olonishakin and his people have done was to just survey the environment, do a careful assessment of the whole operational area, and determine the right strategy. So the strategy adopted has been effective, and those boys have been effectively given a kick in the groin.
Okay, let me quickly take you to there's a package by one of our correspondents on the Arepo bombings.
For months, residents of riverine communities along the boundary of Lagos and Ogun State have been having sleepless nights due to activities of suspected militants who also engaged in bunkering. But after a series of appeals from the government of Ogun, Lagos and residents of the affected areas, the federal government, through the Office of the Chief of Defense Staff, sent a joint military task force to clear the area. Now, the area is cleared, but they left their jerrycans and canoes behind.
That some people, all they will want to do is to continue to undermine, of course, the entire Nigeria, our economy, what we stand for, things that should be for all of us. Some people will come in the name of maybe making easy money, free money, and they will come and be doing this, and they're careless about whether lives are lost or maybe properties are burnt, damaged. They don't, in fact, people that doesn't care for life.
He also suggested that the whole area be cleared at least minimum of 500 meters to the riverbanks.
I think about maybe even 500 meters as a rule to all this our creek should be cleared, so that they will not even have any place to hide under. You see, all this about, because if you look at it, between this place, you look at all the houses and everything here. So clearly, there's an invitation to treat, even though they are criminals. So they have a place to quickly maybe, they seek a boat there. If this place is cleared, 500 meters to the creeks, then you know that it's clear that you cannot even hide there.
Thousands of jerry cans littered the river of Ebuteba for here. You can see that this is a special coordinated effort of vandals. They've actually turned this place to the headquarters of their operation, but thanks to the joint military effort, they actually sacked them and sent them packing from this area. The state governor, Senator Ibikunle Amosun, has called on the federal government to continue this effort to actually set the riverbank and creeks within Lagos and Ogun axis free of men of the underworld. Kazim Olowe, TVC News.
Thank you, Kazim, for that package. That shows the magnitude of the operations over time. But we have Group Captain Ayodele Famuyiwa is the spokesman for the Nigerian Air Force. Hello, Captain. Group Captain.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Yes, you are on to journalist Hangout.
Okay.
Yesterday, I saw that video. I want to confirm if the video that's been on the social media was actually released by the Nigerian Air Force. Was that the operation?
Yeah, that is very correct. The video was released by the Nigerian Air Force.
Okay.
And it's meant to bring to the awareness of Nigerians the criminal activities of the vandals in that part of the country, and to show the effort of the government to address the problem there.
So when you were doing your preliminary findings, it's not as if you went to that place and you carried out your operations, but you first of all, from that video, you surveyed. Just tell us about that operation.
Yeah, Operation Awase, generally.
Awase.
Awase is the response of the government to checkmate the activities of the vandals in the southwest. It appears that the ongoing operation in the Niger Delta is a spillover in Lagos. So what we're saying is a situation where people in Arepo and the environment are being harassed by the militants. You find hostage taking, you find armed robbery, Again, it appears to have been all illegal oil bunkering over the years. And so government, no responsible government can sit back and just fold his hands to allow such to happen. So government has responded to the challenge, to that challenge in the southwest part of the country by setting up this operation. It's the Joint Task Force Operation, codenamed Operation Awase. And what the Nigerian Air Force is doing really is to provide air support, air operations in support of that operation that is going on there. So we carry out a lot of operations. The first one is the surveillance activities. You need to find out what is the disposition of these vandals, how are they located, such that that is going to enable the surface forces to be able to adequately take on them. So Nigerian Air Force is carrying out surveillance activity with the aim of gathering intelligence. Now, we do that before we conduct strike, and we also do that after we have conducted strike. And the whole essence of that is to make sure that once before strike, that we are able to ascertain legitimate targets that has nothing to do with the military populace. You cannot undertake an operation and after that you have to start grappling with civil society, talking about maybe some form of collateral damages and all that. So we are very careful in taking up targets. So we do surveillance with our aircraft to be able to ensure that it is the right target that has been taken up. After the partial aircraft have gone in and the helicopters, we also do surveillance also to ensure to be able to ascertain the level of damage that has been done, whether there's a need for us to come back to that particular target or not.
All right.
We want to know your reaction to claims that we've seen, so reports in the newspapers that these guys have actually relocated to Ondo State. Is it true from the facts that you are getting from your men conducting these operations? Is it true?
Survive that onslaught?
Well, it may not be wrong to assume that the militants are living in a repo at this environment for another location. That is very possible. But I may not be able to tell you precisely whether they are in Ondo State or elsewhere. But again, we are cognizant of that when they leave Arepo, those who are lucky to escape may want to relocate elsewhere. And so we are also doing a kind of surveillance again within a number of locations, which I may not be able to tell you here, to ensure that no new camps are being erected or formed up or any gang up taken up in any other part of the country, particularly within the Southwest region, because that is the area of responsibility for this particular operation.
You don't have the figures of how many casualties were recorded?
No, I don't have any figure on casualties.
Tell us about the equipment deployed, the ground attack helicopters. Tell us a little about the high-tech equipment deployed. Well,
we have a number of platforms that we have deployed for this operation. Like I think intelligence gathering is key to the success of this operation. So we have the Beechcraft aircraft, which has sophisticated camera that is able to pinpoint things on the ground from a very high altitude. If you see the video that was released of the operation that is ongoing there, you can see people at a very reasonable height down there on the ground what they are doing. And so the essence of that is to make sure that wherever you are going to take off is a legitimate target. So we've been able to identify that. You can see even from that video, people, the guy that was in the boat manning an anti-aircraft gun. These are very serious activities, the serious activities by this group. You see them with DPNG, you see them with RPG, you see them with anti-aircraft guns. They even went to the extent of setting up an observation post.
Yes,
so
observation post.
It is a camera that is able to help us to detect it. So we have highly sophisticated equipment to be able to do that. Now, coming to the attack platforms, the helicopter that you saw is the Mi-24. It's a Russian helicopter. It's meant for attack. So we use that also. But again, there are a range of weapons that particular aircraft could carry. But we are selective in the particular weapon that we are using for this operation. Don't forget that the NFC pipeline is along this area. And so we cannot afford to burst the pipes. That again may create another problem in terms of environmental degradation, and then you need to get the NFPC to start repairing the pipe in a place that is invested with criminals. We are very careful. The choice of weapon that we use is hitting target. So what you see right now is that the operation that the Nigerian Air Force is currently carrying on there is a well-planned operation. We are very careful in taking off target and even in our choice of weapon to target matching.
Well done. I want to thank you, Group Captain Ayodele Famuyiwa. That's the spokesman of the Nigerian Air Force there, giving us updates on Operation Awatse. And in recent times, I have not seen something like this. Yeah, okay, I think in the Northeast, the Nigerian Air Force, they've been showing us videos and how they've been carrying out their operation, but this is so detailed. I saw that video yesterday, and according to Captain Ayodele Famuyiwa, he told us that there was one anti-aircraft, somebody even went to that kilo and he wanted to, he wanted to man that anti-aircraft boat to show you that they are organized, very organized. Observation posts and everything, and this is something that it will take them years to assemble.
Yes, it's a good one, on their part. But let us also remember the fact that it was a joint military operation. I would have brought to ask him before he dropped. What's the assurance that they are going to be able to sustain with that operation and to know whether we can replicate same operation in the core Niger Delta, particularly because of the fact that the terrain of the core Niger Delta is a bit more difficult. Now,
what he's saying is that their immediate jurisdiction is the southwest for now. Yes, the southwest Nigeria for now. So those people, he said there are other locations that they've even pinpointed apart from this Arepo, that those locations that we won't disclose it, that they are going to do something about it.
Well, it shows that they are ready for the battle. That's why it was easy for them to overrun the vandals. In the past, these are the people that have taken the community into ransom, times with that number.
They've killed
they said whenever they in 2015, they killed 9 DSS officials.
Took their dead bodies.
And 3 weeks before that incident, they had already killed 4 policemen. And they took away their body. So now that they have made their Waterloo, I think the only thing is for the joint military effort, to continue. They should not relent. Don't assume that, because they will always regroup. They are making a lot of millions. You can see the clip.
I think the spillover is the crime we have at Ikorodu and Co.
Look
at the
spillover
effect of this thing.
Look at the number of kegs.
Yes.
Over 1,000 kegs. And they do it on a daily basis.
On a daily basis.
It involves a lot of money. So they will not relent. They will want to regroup. And you should also know the fact that, they have a lot of money at their disposal. So they want to come back because it's a free money. It's a free money. They have never been so challenged in the past. This is the first time they have been so challenged. So they now want to re-strategize. I think we should not relent.
I was told by a friend of mine that they do this in connivance with even the host community, the traditional rulers, and everything.
There is no doubt about that.
They all have stakes.
No, you see, sometimes the way they do it is they hold the community in ransom. The reason is this: the community knows that if they inform the appropriate authorities, there might be some black leg in the security setup that will go and point at it is so and so person that told them that you are coming. So they will hold exactly. So now a sort of restoration of confidence has been done now with the community that, look, we are going to protect you and we are ready to take these people out. It is what I think has happened here. And these are the kind of things that happen that make one to feel proud that you are a Nigerian.
Yes.
I mean, some little clique of people should not hold a whole country to ransom. I mean, no individual or group can be powerful than the state, than the government. So
the government, in fact, I feel very proud here that, look, you mean it is the Nigerian Air Force that is doing this without any external aid? I mean, it's wonderful. So things like this should be encouraged. They should be encouraged so that criminals will know that if you embark on this kind of business,
this is what you get.
This is the kind of treatment you are going to get. So, I mean, it's wonderful, and it's also good that the military, they, at this point at least, they made their effort known. Because if they didn't publicize this, if we didn't know, the criminals will not find out. I mean, I'm sure if the criminals are not immediately watching now, those of them who escaped, they will hear later and they will watch. So they will know that these people are really meaning business, and they should find other means of earning a living.
Jide, it's good that the Defense Headquarters is taking this seriously, and with this action and the coordinated, action at that, the people from Ikorodu and people in Arepo and environment, they can hear a sigh of relief right now, because for a long time, these guys, a
lot of them are actually relocated.
People
have been selling their property.
Because the reality is, after, siphoning fuel is no longer easy. They've been literally taken out of business. So they've now resorted to kidnapping people for ransom. They even went as far as violating the sanctity of a church to go and kidnap a redeemed church pastor. And so the reality is, now that they are facing this kind of heat, we are talking about the damage, battle damage assessment and all that. Everyone is proud. But I do not just want these guys to be scattered, as the code name of the operation suggests.
Name for scatter.
What I want is for them to be exterminated.
Taken out.
Because when you scatter them, they can regroup. They must be exterminated. Now, the way to do that is to set up something similar to civilian JTF in those communities. There are courageous boys in those communities that can be used. And some of those boys are actually idle. Because let's face it, unemployment
They've even co-opted some of those boys into
unemployment is at the root of what we are talking about. Yes, it is criminality. But we cannot deny that there is serious unemployment in our country. And it's a time bomb. So what they need to do is, how do we engage these boys, these guys who have no job? How do we engage them to get them involved in community policing? Use them for community policing, something similar to civilian JTF. So that way, they will stop any attempt by these guys to regroup. Remember, even the rescue of the pastor was carried out by some OPC members in the area, and I think one of them lost his life. So they are courageous boys. Let us use them. Let's use them to help the military to sustain this campaign against these enemies of our nation. And once we organize them sufficiently, these guys will find no way to come back and resume their terrorization of our people in the riverine communities. So this is what I want to see. Yes.
How did vandalism? You said something earlier that vandalism is no longer lucrative for them.
The reality is, if you pump petroleum products through the pipelines, then they have something to siphon. If you choose not to pump, what are they going to siphon? That is the big issue, because Kachiku is not a fool. When he suggested to his people that, look, let us try to reduce scarcity, and improve the supply chain by sending by keeping the depot what was it called, Mosemi, and the rest of them busy, by sending fuel through the pipelines. These guys got to know, and immediately they started breaking the pipelines. So As someone who knows what he's doing, the best thing to do is to not,
jettison
not to stop the. I mean, forget about that idea. So, and if we forget about that idea, if we do not send petroleum products through the pipeline, what is there to siphon? What is there to vandalize? So those boys are becoming increasingly restless, and they now resorted to other forms of criminality by kidnapping people, by kidnap so many people at once and then take money from them. Ransom as low as even 50,000 naira. So just because they must find another way of surviving.
I'm sure our viewers from Ikorodu, Ishao village, I've forgotten the names of this area. They've succeeded in chasing out landlords, and most of them are now squatting all around.
All over.
The situation is very, very bad.
Not only that, some of the landlords have even put up their houses, for sale at ridiculous prices. I learned that there are some that goes as low as 500,000 naira. A well-built building. People have been selling their hotels, because the place is no longer viable in terms of safety and what have you. I know of a guy, who has left the community with his family for over a month now and refused to go back. The last time I wanted to go back, they came back. They have become so daring. They will just enter any community and they started shooting. And when gun had been shot, of course, nobody will wait.
Okay, what we're going to do is that we're going to be on this, as the event unfolds in this particular update on this vandals. And when we return, Minister of Transport and Minister of State for Petroleum disagree on the scrapping of Maritime University. Please stay with us. It's still journalist Hangout. Recently, the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, and Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachiku, openly disagreed. The ministers who spoke during a town hall meeting in Uyo disagreed on the cancellation of the Maritime University in Delta State. Amechi wants the scrapping of the university projects on the ground that the previous administration had paid too much to acquire a land for the projects. He also claimed not much had happened there, but Kachuku disagreed, saying he would source for the money to complete the project. What is the solution to this crisis?
The Nigerian Maritime University, the Untold Chronicle. Ordinarily speaking, the propriety of having a federally run maritime university, and preferably in the Niger Delta region, would have been a settled matter. After all, it would have the potential of building on the giant strides of the Maritime Academy at Oron in Akwa Ibom State. But like many things Nigerian, the institution's sighting has become a source of discord among some powerful sons of the region. Whereas the Federal Minister of Transportation and the immediate past governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Amechi, does not fancy the location of the premier maritime university sited in Okerenkoko, Delta State.
My argument about Okerenkoko is that land alone, 13 billion naira. If you give me 13 billion naira, I will buy half of Lagos. Land alone, 13 billion naira. That 13 billion naira has built the university already.
His counterpart in the Petroleum Resources Ministry, Dr. Ibe Kachiko, himself a Deltan, does not see anything wrong with the site.
Okerenkoko University, I disagree with the Minister for Transport. Any facility that is placed in the south-south, we should work towards developing it. I don't care the circumstances under which we were placed. It is not my position to determine whether land was valued at 19 or 10 million or 3 million. The appropriate institutions, which are the court systems, will determine that. That has nothing to do with development of the infrastructure. And as far as I know, so much has already gone into that property. So much fiscal assets have been developed. We're not going to throw away the baby with the bathwater. We'll deal with the issues where the university will be developed. If it doesn't want it in maritime, I will take it in petroleum.
But the Nigerian Maritime University has a history. And of course, the rubber stamp of the federal government. Former President Goodluck Jonathan had endorsed the institution, inclusive of the site. It is pertinent to add that the Nigerian Maritime University, Baramatu, is number 41 on the National Universities Commission listings. But the temporary site at Kuruti has an enviable history.
Imported dredgers had to be brought in here to dredge sand to fill the place first. Special equipments were now used to compact the sand-filled portions.
If the Maritime University is an approved institution, wherein lies the controversy?
Political exclusion, political and economic strangulation is what is happening. Subjugation is what is happening here.
The indigenes of Baramatu Kingdom are not persuaded by the counter logic of the sighting. They smell a rat. To them, it is unarguably the only token of a federal presence in their environment.
SPDC 1970 started operation in our region, in our Baramatu Kingdom, and they earned trillions of naira. And we, the people of the region, demanding for projects until federal government cited Maritime University.
We are peace-loving people in this community. We pray for development of this place for a long time. Lucky enough, an university was cited in our place here.
Like an intractable child, the Niger Delta question beggars a lot of understanding beyond platitudes. Mention must, of course, be made of the criminal conspiracy of the elite of the region. A painful angle to this is the Ogoni 4, which gave rise to the famed Ogoni 9, which included the irrepressible teacher, dramatist, and environmentalist, Ken Sarowiwa.
Even though I was young, I could see that nothing was coming to the Ogoni people from the oil. And I started writing about it almost immediately, even though I was only a high school student.
The coming days are crucial in resolving the nagging problem of the Niger Delta. Armed struggle is definitely not a way out. Militancy can only sustain a dwindling of fortunes for Nigeria, and the hysteria more depressing.
The Niger Delta crisis there and the location of the Maritime University. Jide, what's all this about in Baramatu Kingdom, the location? I think the previous administration had started a Maritime University in a particular location. Give us more insight into this.
Actually, the idea of setting up tertiary institutions in oil-bearing communities was Obasanjo's idea, you know, because he just felt that way you can bring greater development to the area. So the idea, one cannot say that it was actually Goodluck Jonathan that came up with the idea. Yes, there is a maritime university in Oron, but if you look at the example of Ogun State, for example, Ogun State has far more universities, far more tertiary institutions than any state in Nigeria. So you can't say that because there's a maritime university in Oron, then a state like Delta that is far away from it does not deserve to have another maritime university. Then the logic that because so much money was spent to buy the piece of land, when you can see that clearly so much work had gone into the project, is, in my view, is ridiculous. So what do you want the government to do with what has been put on ground, the structures that are standing that you and I can see? So we really have to be careful. The Avengers, one of the issues that caused the Avengers to start misbehaving in the way they are misbehaving in Nigeria today is the decision to scrap this university, because I remember in their demands, they mentioned Rotimi Amechi repeatedly, that the university must be allowed to take off, that the fund for the takeoff of the university has to be released, and that it should not be relocated to any part of Niger Delta. I believe that if Baramotu Kingdom, that has no less than 12 flow stations, is given a university as a way of giving back to that community that has given so much to Nigeria, I do not believe that it is a bad idea. So I support Kachiku wholeheartedly, you know, in pushing.
What was Rotimi Amechi saying about, 13 billion naira used in purchasing that land, that they can buy half of Lagos?
No, if he's saying that he can buy half of Lagos with 13 billion naira, then he doesn't know how much a plot of land costs in Banana Island. Or he may wish to find
Atlantic
out.
City.
No, I think he was just engaged in an hyperbole.
Sarcastic, sorry.
No,
by
but
saying,
you see
by
the
saying
thing is,
30.
no, you can't buy. The reality is, Lagos is,
Yes,
he doesn't live in Lagos.
Yes.
We are the people who live in Lagos.
Oh, sure.
We know how much a piece of land goes for here.
Tell us that.
They
Half
should
of
not-
Lagos.
they
Not
should-
even in
you have
Ogun
an
State,
idea.
they
Yes.
buy
Lagos.
half of Ogun
You
State.
can't
You can't buy half of Ikosi.
You should have
This
an idea.
Ikosi, you can't buy
13
half.
Does it
13
think
billion.
that the naira has that much value anymore? And you buy half of Lagos?
13 billion naira. No,
I
come
think-
of it. The argument of relocating this Maritime University, and what Kachiku was saying, that why don't you let us consolidate on what we have on ground?
I don't know what Rotimi Amechi wants to achieve, by saying that the federal government can no longer continue with that project. I want to agree with him that 13 billion naira is a lot of money
To have purchased,
purchased that land, especially in that kind of environment. And the claim was that the land was actually free, but the government had to pay compensation for farmlands that were destroyed, as well as economic tree. And I was wondering the kind of economic tree that we have in that kind of terrain that will amount to 13 billion naira. There is no doubt about it that it was like a sort of a political patronage, But even at that is not enough to say that they should stop the project. You told the whole Nigeria that there was no project on it, but we have seen clips showing that actually projects, are on that on the land. Are you not going to? What do you want to do with those projects? Are you not going to say they should abandon them so that we continue with this culture of starting something that we cannot finish? I think there should be a better way of resolving this issue, and the minister needs to be very careful. I believe that his allegiance is to the federal government of Nigeria. There is no doubt about it. But you should also not forget the fact that he's from that region. Anytime he leaves Abuja, he will still go back to that region. Prosperity will not forgive him if at the end of the day the project was stalled because of him. A time will come that people will refer to it that, there was a time we wanted to establish a maritime university in your region. It was stalled by one of your sons. Just like we have been making reference to the fact that a lot of money, had been pumped through intervention agencies in the Niger Delta, and they were being headed by their own sons and daughters. And there's nothing to show that they have really done anything. So a time will also come that people will make reference to that. So the minister needs to be careful. He should not play politics with this. The project is dear to the heart of the people. There is no federal presence in that environment. This is the only federal presence that they are likely to have, at least for now.
So they have the number of flow stations.
You can't say because like I said, I believe the money was because when I read Chief Afebalola's interview the other day, whereby he said he has spent well over 2 billion naira, in his university, and that university remains one of the best in the country today. So that's why I said I agree with him that 13 billion naira just to purchase the land, was outrageous. But that is not enough to say that let us forget about the project.
He's saying the Minister of Petroleum is saying that I would source for money to complete the projects. That even though
petroleum, I support that.
Even if
the reason is this: you cannot say because you have a headache the only solution to it is to cut the air off. 13 billion has been spent to buy the land. I'm sure his calculation does not include all the money that has been spent on the infrastructure or the building. So now, if you now decide that you are going to abandon it, are you going to go to the man who sold the land to you that we want back the 13 billion and then
will he give you?
the building that you have built on it, value it, how much has been spent?
I have a caller from Bayelsa State. AB is calling from Bayelsa State. Thank you for joining us, AB.
Yeah, thank you, Ayo. You see, the main reason why Amechi actually does not like the university to be cited in an Ijaw community is because of the problem he had with Goodluck Jonathan. If there is anything he can do to Goodluck that will make Goodluck to be angry that yes, I have paid back to Goodluck for what Goodluck did to me, then this one should be something that will be directly done to him. You know, Amechi is not an Ijaw man; he's an Igore man. So this is something which is like an upland riverine dichotomy in the Niger Delta. They have this problem since even when Bayelsa and River State were together. They don't really like each other. So it's an attack from somehow on the Ijaws because Goodluck is an Ijaw man. Thank you.
Thank you, AB. Thank you, AB, for that clarification. Very brief. So even within the Niger Delta, you have that dichotomy, the Ijaw and the upland people.
So you see, that's the problem we are going to face. If you decide that you are going to stop it, I don't think stopping it is the solution. What we need to do now is how much more do we need to bring it up to standard? Let's go ahead with it. The investment has already been done. It must be continued. If you don't continue it, you are going to create more problems because that is the community where Tompolo comes from. And apart from that, if it were to be in my own community, I will feel the same way. Yes. So, I mean, let us look at it in every rational way we can. The 13 billion has been paid, the mistake has been made there, but does that mean because of that we are going to stop it? No. We should. I support the Minister of Petroleum that he is going to source for the money. We must source for the money to build it and assuage their feelings that it is not as if the whole of Nigeria or the other part of Nigeria hates you or is against you. We are all one.
All right, moving on now. The crisis in the House of Representatives seemed far from being over. Members were ruffled, forcing most of them to rush to their vacation spots to attend meetings over alleged plot to remove the Speaker, Mr. Yakubu Dogara, over the budget padding allegation made by a former chairman of the Committee on Appropriation, Mr. Abdulmumuni Jibrin. Majority Leader, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, reduced the tension among factions by urging members to keep faith in the leadership of the House under Dogara. What is really going on? Yesterday, I called Femi Gbajabiamila and he told me that he was leaving the country on a 2 weeks vacation. But before he left the country, he actually released that press release, and that press release was neither here nor there. It was, bouncing around so that the insinuation going around that he is favorably disposed, he's going to be at the advantage position to this crisis. Jide, what's happening? What's the updates on the crisis?
Well, the young man, Abdulmumin Jibrin, is not relenting. At all. He has become like a terrier on social media. He's causing so much trouble on social media. You know, he's fighting Dogara with everything that he has got. Being in EFCC, 10 o'clock, you know, headquarters, 12 o'clock, ICPC, 2 o'clock. Right now, he has made up, he's going for broke.
I think he has gone beyond.
When you are faced with a man who is going for broke, it's like you are faced with a terrorist. He has nothing to lose, but you have so much to lose.
He went there with 10 lawyers and senior advocates of Nigeria to submit his petition.
In my view, his confidence is growing with every passing day because he can see that there are so many people in that House of Reps that feel done by, with the stories, given the revelations that are coming out, a lot of these lawmakers were sidelined in the pardon scandal. So they feel that yes, since you sidelined us and you committed this heresy of this magnitude, then we are really going to fight you. So he knows that a lot of his colleagues are on his side. You know, he said something earlier in response to Namdas, that look, don't make it look like it is the entire house against me. Yeah. No, it is the four of you against me. So he has succeeded in getting a lot of the House of Reps members on his side, and you will see that every day lawmakers are talking. I said yesterday that if Dogara really wants to test his popularity, he should break the recess
and reconvene the house.
He should reconvene the house, because this is a serious national embarrassment. And the ideal thing, all forms, his image will continue to receive so much battering, because between now and September 13, when he wants to reconvene the house and hope that he can suspend Jibrin. Jibrin, at the rate that Jibrin is going, he will so damage whatever credibility that Dogara has left. He will turn Nigerians against Dogara the same way that the short man from Kano turned people against Patricia Ete. That's Farouk Lawan. That's the man I refer to as the short man of Kano. The way he turned Nigerians against Ete. So that is what is happening now. Initially, people said, oh, he serves Jibrin right. But I can tell you on social media and across the country, the table has turned. So people are no longer condemning Jibrin like they condemned him that first day, because they've seen that, okay, this is his story. He is not saying that he was not guilty, because there are questions that even he has not been able to answer. But he is saying that,
go down together. I will
the
not go down alone.
The quantum of the corruption that Dogara is guilty of, you can't compare it to what I am guilty of. That's the point that he's making. And you see, the issuing threat to Dogara has amounted to nothing. I mean, to Jibrin has amounted to nothing. In fact, the threat has further emboldened him. I think that he has some powerful people behind him in the house and outside the house. So that's why he's tightening the screw, Ayo. He's tightening the screw on on the speaker.
Why do you think the silence of Dogara is doing this case any good?
He has voiced out already. You know, initially he said he was not going to say anything. But when the heat was becoming unbearable, he has no choice but to voice out.
What did he say?
You know, initially he said, okay, I will allow the committee that we are going to set up, you know, to look into the crisis. And people felt, no, this cannot work, because like Jide rightly said, you know, the head of the media committee, Namdas, you know, initially wanted to give us the impression that this is about that the whole house, you know, is in support of Dogara. Until when over 100 lawmakers, the transparency group, you know, and now came up to say, no, this is not about us. It's not about the entire house. It is about those men that were accused. You know, but the way I see it is that for me, it's not as if Jibrin is also a saint. And like I've said in some places, you know, if they had agreed on the sharing formula, perhaps we would not have heard of all this. It's because something.
If they had not removed him.
If they are not removing him. And if they, you know, they even said he was the one who resigned. I think what triggered the whole thing was because
he resigned.
He resigned.
He claimed that he resigned.
He said he resigned. No, when Dogara also confirmed that he said he resigned, but that there was also plan for them to remove him.
No. You are mixing it up.
No.
You are mixing it up. When he claimed that he resigned, Dogara said it's a lie. That we removed him. There's no way. There's no way Dogara will say that.
Dogara said they removed him.
Dogara insists that they removed him.
So,
but what the story that we are hearing is that, okay, that he told them that he wanted to quit. And the question that I've asked here even though I'm not a trained lawyer, is where is your resignation letter? If you are saying that indeed you resigned,
he has not.
He has not shown that you resigned.
He has not shown the resignation letter.
So people must show me proof before they get me to believe them. Where is his resignation letter? He's turning out all kinds of documents, but the resignation letter is not one of those documents. So I want to believe that indeed they removed him.
And I think if Dogara had, tried to, before Jibrin went out, went AWire like this, if he had tried to pacify Jibrin, I think this story would have been just in-house thing.
Well, it might have been, but you must also not forget that it depends on what they are agreeing on. The Jibrin might come and make some demands. If the speaker is not ready to agree with it, and he knows that it will still be removed, he might have said, look, let me just go. Let me just bring out what I have. What we have seen is that their language, it has become like a Tower of Babel now. Yes. They can't understand themselves now. So you taka me, I double you kind of situation is repeating itself. What we had in the 70s or thereabout is repeating itself now. Now, if they had agreed, or if he had agreed that he should resign quietly, maybe it would have been okay. But the man felt that, look, you can't use me as a sacrificial lamb. Yes. We are all in this business together. Yes, we all committed this offense.
You are even guiltier than me.
So you can't sacrifice me and save your own skin.
I'm continuing to play the same.
Exactly. So I think that is what has happened, and it's good for Nigeria. We want more of this kind of thing so that they can.
He feels betrayed.
Yes.
If you look at the way that he fought for Dogara's emergence, on network television we watched him, his antics on that day, and at the end of the day, you sacked him. That the idea of sacking him must have nettled him. It must have really nettled him to the point that he now felt, oh, so these guys want to parade me before Nigerians like the dirty pig of the house? No, this is wrong. That's why he had to come out to say, look, you are guilty, and I have proof. He was saying, look at, when he mentioned that the project in Nasarawa, the water project, he called it number 21. Allegation number 21 against the speaker. So he has taken his time to fight back. So next time, you see, tit for tat is very common in politics. When Mahatma Gandhi said an eye for an eye makes the world go blind, the Nigerian politicians do not believe that. If the world will go blind,
let us all go blind.
Let the world go blind. So now an eye for an eye is reigning in the in the House of Reps. And Jibrin is the anchor of the an eye for an eye syndrome.
Wahid, your last take on this?
Yes, my last take is that it's a good thing that they are divulging all this information. At least it gives us the opportunity of knowing the kind of people we have as our representative in the National Assembly. So they should tell us more. We are enjoying it.
At the last minute, I think Nigeria will gain a lot by it because we will know exactly who are these people representing us.
So let the scams
continue.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Olaika, Yugule, Wahid, Bakari, thank you, and Jide, thank you as usual. And that's it on the Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another exciting episode.